I'm Faith, and welcome to Faith's Take, where I talk about anything and everything that I find interesting. And welcome to my super quick, off the cuff thoughts of the MST3K, the Gauntlet trailer. This is literally just, and season 11 recap. This is literally, it is 10:34 my time. The season premieres, the Gauntlet premieres at 2 a.m. This is less than 3.5 hours beforehand. And I just wanted to get a super quick, I've spent this week like binging The Return, season 11 again. To give just some quick last second thoughts about it. Now that we've had over a year and a half to digest it and to rewatch episodes and stuff, and now we have obviously the trailer and stuff about the new season and kind of what my expectations are for that, seeing as how it premieres in just a couple of hours, and so I'm gonna start with what I think of the trailer and what I'm kind of thinking season 12 will be, and then go into my thoughts and a couple of little notes of season 11 and what I want season 12 to be based off of season 11. So, first off, I think season 12, just based on the trailer, based on the premise, is a brilliant idea. For those of you that haven't seen the trailer, MST3K season 12 is titled The Gauntlet, just like season 11 was titled The Return, because we're only getting 6 episodes. I'll get to that in just a second. And in these 6 episodes, the context, the like plot line of it is that Kinga is gonna have the guys watch all 6 terrible movies right in a row, like not on separate days, not in separate weeks, like some of Joel and Mike's episodes implied, but like just one after the other. They're just gonna binge all of them, and I love that because it does play off of the real binge watching that we do with Netflix. I think that's a really, really smart, cool idea. I don't like the fact that it's only 6 for this premise. I think that's very good. In terms of the universe of the show, that's a great idea. In terms of what happened in real life, making us wait a year and a half for it, I don't think that's as good. But what I've heard is apparently Joel right now said, yes, we had a long wait this time, but if this works, if the premise works, if the season is improved because they weren't rushing to get 14 episodes out like last time, that this might happen where we get shorter seasons, but shorter wait times. Instead of it being a year and a half, maybe we get, it would be nice to get 1 to 2 seasons a year, would be really nice. So maybe we'll get that, they'd just be shorter. And if the quality stays high, and we still get about the average number of episodes we would have anyway, they're just spaced differently, I'm totally good with that. So I hope that that's what it ends up being. And not, oh, well, you gotta wait you gotta wait well over a year for another 6 episodes. I hope that doesn't happen again. But like I said, the premise is fantastic. And so I guess we're going to kind of work backwards almost in a way a little bit. We're going to talk about the season 11 ending for a second here and how it relates to season 12. Obviously, Jonah did not die at the end of season 11, which I think we all knew would happen. It was just that stupid purple jumpsuit guy that's mysteriously in a shot of carnival magic at the end that made me wonder, like, what the heck, are they gonna replace Jonah for real? I don't think they would do that, but would they do that? I hope they don't do that. And thankfully they didn't. Jonah is back and safe, and like, thank the Lord, because I just, like, I don't know, like, I don't know what, I would just been so upset. So I'm glad that he's back. So I don't know what it's gonna end up being. My guess, one of 2 things. One is what my sister Holly had theorized last year, which was Kinga knew what was going to happen the whole time, that she set up the giant robot for Max to find and for Max to do what he did and Jonah to die and all that as a ratings thing, so people would tune into this season to see if he made it or whatever. Or it could be that Jonah built a robot version of himself or something, and so he hid in his spacesuit on top of the satellite while his, like, robot clone whatever went to get married or whatever, and he was safe, or Kinga just planted the suit up there for him or whatever. So we'll see what happens, because I have no idea. I haven't read, by the way, I meant to say this a second ago, I have not read any articles, I have not seen anything. The only thing I've seen at all about season 12 is what the trailer shows us, and on Twitter, no one said who it was, thank goodness, but they said there is a cameo that we should be looking forward to, so we'll have to see who that is. But really, that's about all I have when it comes to, based on the trailer, what I think season 12 is going to be, and kind of like, oh, is it going to be good? I love the premise. And I'll put it this way, from what I know of some of the movies they're doing, it would be really hard to mess them up. So let's all hope that they do not mess them up. let's see. So I guess I'll say any of my thoughts on season 11 that changed, anything that's the same, and what I hope they do going forward. You know, the first couple episodes are still rough when you rewatch them because they kind of have, like, I think I've said this before. If I repeat myself at all, keep in mind those other videos are a year and a half old. So, and I don't remember everything I said. But season 11, just having watched all of season 1 now, except the last episode that I'm going to be working on soon for the next review, it has the inverse problem where season 1, they didn't realize how much they could riff and how they had a lot of spaces where they could have put riffs in and it wouldn't have overloaded the audience like they were worried about. With season 11, they had the opposite of that where they're like, if we don't fill every single dead second of space, like, they're gonna get bored. Because, I mean, like I said in Reptilicus, I think in the original video I said that this happened once. It happened at least twice, actually, where there would be 5 or 6 really, really quick shots in a row, and they would riff every single shot. And it's like, you only need to riff, like, 2 of those, maybe 3, because of, you know, so the jokes can land, so the shot has a second to breathe, they can riff, and we can laugh. Especially the first 2 episodes. It starts getting better by Time Travelers, and they're pretty much over it by Avalanche, thankfully. That's only the 4th episode in, so that's pretty good. But yeah, I don't know if I'm ever gonna really go back to watch Reptilicus or Cry Wilderness, after this, not very often at all. To be honest, Reptilicus, maybe because if I wanted the host segments, if I wanted to see Jonah's intro again or something, but it's like, if I want to listen to Every Country Has a Monster, which is still one of the, like, peaks that they're gonna have to hit, if they want to impress me this season, it'd be awesome if they had an Every Country Has a Monster like scene. It doesn't have to be the same thing, it could be something totally different, but that gives me that feeling of like, that is classic Mystery Science Theater, and that is exactly what I want from these guys. Because I'll give Reptilicus that for sure. Cry Wilderness didn't have any of that. It's, again, they're not even unwatchable. They're not like season 1 where you're just like so bored. They just kind of wear you out because they go so fast and you can't enjoy it. You can't savor the riffs in those episodes. And most of the segments are like okay, or they're establishing things. But by Time Travelers they get a lot better, and it continues from there to just improve, if anything, thankfully. And by the time we get past Star Crash, I think, it's like, you just have a lot of great episodes. Because I will say, 100% admit this, I liked The Land That Time Forgot a lot better this time around. I don't know what my deal was the first time. I don't know if after loving Beast of Hollow Mountain so much that Star Crash and Land like just kind of fell by the wayside a little bit. I'm like, those aren't as good, or they don't have segments that are as good, so it, like, I don't know if that was a deal with me or what. But yeah, rewatching it, I really liked it. So I don't know what my problem was the first time. So that's great. So really, the only 2 episodes I could think of myself probably not really going back to at all will be Reptilicus and Cry Wilderness, because even Time Travelers has enough that I like in it that I will definitely go back. So, and like I said, from then on, it only gets better and stays good the rest of the season, riffing wise at least. So let's get to characters. There are a couple things I hope it played a little less, a couple things that could be played a little more, you know. I think that the Mads still, you know, they need improvement. Here's the other thing I'll say. Going back into season 11 a year and a half, having seen them all and having a little clarity and knowing exactly what to expect, and then rewatching them, the Mads aren't as bad, but then when you watch any of the old episodes, it's like, well, they're not that great either. And like I said, Kinga got a little development and a little better over the season, but the problem is, and I don't know if I said this before or not, I've never met Felicia Day, but I've only heard lovely things about her, and as Kinga, she really does come off as a super nice person trying to play mean, trying to play an evil character. And there's some people that can do that great, but with Kinga, especially because it's a comedy, and so they're not going for, like, realistic evil, you know what I mean? She just seems, like, too nice. It just seems like this isn't a person that's normally like this, you know? And Patton Oswalt, while I didn't love, you know, his character in the last season at all, I know that he's really funny, that he can be really funny. I love him in like Word Girl, which I know is really weird, but he did a great job. He's one of the best characters in that show, and that was a great show anyway. So it's like, I know how good and funny, and he can play a funny villain. That's what he was in Word Girl, this old PBS cartoon. That I would watch. He was one of the bad guys, and he was hilarious. He had an unrequited crush on a character on the show, on the lead in that show, and he was hilarious. So I know he can play the kind of character they're wanting him to play, even though in that one he was like an evil genius, and in this one he's like the henchman. But I know he can play that type of character, so I know that he's not the problem really in this case. I know it's more the writing they gave him. They just didn't give him much that was that great to work with, or really that made an interesting character. So I hope that they've improved that, and that he gets his due and fun stuff to work with in this one, stuff that comes off funnier than the last season personally. And like I said, King has started getting a little more development. A little less screaming and a little less of her just like pushing people like a little kid would. If you're like, kid, go be mean to that other kid, and they'd be like, yeah, and just push people. That's like half of what she does to prove that she's evil. So if you could like let Patton be a little funnier, give him better stuff to work with, and let Kinga also just be a little funnier and less of I'm the mean toddler on the playground kind of a way. Gypsy and the clone of Pearl, Cynthia, are just like, they're like wastes of screen time. The clone is just like just weird and awkward, and not in a funny, weird, awkward way. So that's a little of an issue with me. And then Gypsy Gypsy wasn't that funny to begin with. The only thing that Gypsy was good for in the original series was to give another character, put another character on the ship, to have that be the person running it, so Joel didn't have to be. And the only thing that was funny about her was that she was always played by a guy. It was always her voice, and sometimes even that wasn't that great. She was just there. But now with this Gypsy, when you have a real female doing the voice, you really gotta write her funny if you want her to be funny, because she's just not naturally a comedic character, and they haven't done that. I don't think they've done that. Like I said last season, I believe there was one genuine laugh that she got out of me in the theater parts where she does the 2 riffs every time. And that's the other thing. If you're going to have her in there to riff, give her good lines, because most of the time I think they don't. I think she'd come off a lot better if they gave her funnier lines in the theater, if you're going to keep doing that. But I liked her first line in the Christmas one, I believe, was funny. And that's about it. Like, I don't know. And I feel bad because it's just like, I understand that they want to fill up the cast a little bit and all that, and that they want to make sure like you keep Gypsy around and all that stuff, but it's like, then give them better material. Like, that was just an issue. They seem to have an issue with the secondary characters when it comes to the writing a lot, and I wish I could tell you why, but I can't. At least for me, I will 100% say, at least for me, you might think they're the best characters on the show, and if so, good for you. I'm glad you enjoy them, absolutely. But for me, they all fall a little flat, with Kinga getting a little better later in the season, and I hope they continue that. I'll be interested to see how many other cameos. I'm assuming the big cameo everyone's waiting for I'm assuming it's Mike, which, just real quick aside, if it is Mike, please, for love of everything, don't ruin the season 10 ending. Don't ruin the original ending. Don't have those be his actual bots. Please, for the love of everything, like I said back then, if you're gonna do this, please have it be that Mike has he has the OG bots here on Earth, and Jonah has 2 bots that Kinga made with their memories or whatever as like the control group, because that's what Joel and Mike both had. I hope if that's what the cameo is. I mean, there are a few others it could be, but I'm assuming everyone's like, it's the big cameo we've wanted. I'm assuming that's who it is. But it'll be interesting to see if we get other cameos. Like, I mean, last time we had Neil Patrick Harris and Mark Hamill, so it'll be interesting to see how many, if any, other, like, celebrity cameos we get. And then finally, to the main characters, our Tom, our Crow, and our Jonah. Tom, had some rough patches in season 11, for sure. Was definitely the roughest of the 3, in my opinion. But it's like, you can't even blame him, though, because it's like, who could follow Kevin Murphy like that? It's like, that would be really hard. And I don't know. I don't know. I don't like that. Because I hate to just bash him and be like, well, he's just not good. Because I don't think that's the case. There are a lot of times where he genuinely made me laugh. And he does get better when they have less of the speedy riffs. Sometimes he would talk so fast, I had to, like, really, really have to stop and think, like, wait, whoa, what did he say? And, like, I'm a fast talker, and I'm from the Midwest, where, you know, you talk fast and you have to listen fast, and, but there were a couple of his lines early on, I was like, what the heck did he just say? And there are a couple times they have him do a voice, but it doesn't work. You know what they're going for, but it just doesn't come off the way I think they intended it to. But by the end of the season, I think he shaped up, and he was a solid riffer. I would still say of these three, he's probably the lowest tier for me. But I just, again, it'd be so hard it'd be hard to replace any of these guys, obviously, but at least Hampton as Crow has a huge advantage of there already being two Crows that were there for years. So, two Crows that had long tenures, because Josh was there for a while, but he was also very early on. Some of the episodes people don't even watch, some of the weakest episodes. So most people only know Servo as Kevin's version. So Baron is taking over for, this guy that most people just know as this one guy doing this character. So, and it's, I can't blame him for not being the greatest, because that's a really hard character and personality to follow up, for sure. Especially because Kevin took Josh's version of Servo and just put his own spin on it, and eventually evolved into its own thing, but it came from the same, like, place of origin. He took Josh's stuff and was inspired to move forward with that. When Bill took over for Trace, he said that Mike and Kevin had just told him, do what you need to do to make him funny, like, make him your own, basically. And he did. So Crow has had two distinct, basically, versions of himself before this new stuff came out. So Hampton had more to play with. Hampton, I think, does a good job of having both his own type of Crow moments, but then homages to both Bill and Trace's Crows, for sure. But with Baron, he really only has that kind of one personality type that got evolved from Josh to Kevin to go off of. So if he deviates too far from that, everyone's going to be like, well, that's a different Tom. # not my Tom Servo. But then if he doesn't deviate at all and just, like, really tried to stay 100% true, they'd be like, well, you're not doing your own thing. So he's kind of at a loss, and I really do feel bad about that. But like I said, through the season, he definitely improves, absolutely. And I hope that he just keeps getting better as the show goes on. I hope he's even better in this season and going forward, absolutely. And then with Crow, like I said, I think Hampton just does an excellent job overall as Crow. I think he found a great balance between the two OGs and his version, and melding them into a character that fits in to the universe, fits in with the past stuff, fits in with the new stuff that they're doing. I think he does a very good job, and I hope that he just continues. I just hope he stays on the same trajectory that he was, because he was doing a great job, and just like them, got better in the theater as time went on, for sure. And he wasn't even, like, too rough to begin with, I don't think, for what they had to work with, and the weird timing that they had to deal with the first few episodes. But yeah, he got better, so it's like, I hope Baron keeps improving, and Hampton just keep doing what you're doing, man, I hope. So, and again, and I can't blame this on these guys, but you guys had to know I'd bring this up. The puppetry. Like, guys, I don't know what to say. It's just, like, just as a lover of both Mystery Science Theater and puppetry, it's just like, why is the Crow puppetry? Why is the Crow mouth so bad? Like, because I was watching the Turkey Day Marathon the other day, and I don't remember which episode it was, but it was one of the episodes being shown, and Crow was talking like a mile a minute, and the mouth was moving perfectly fine. Like, that was just one guy, that was just Trace, with that little trigger on the puppet handle, just like, and was able to make it look perfect. So now you have 2 to 3 puppeteers, whatever the heck it is at this point, on each of these puppets, and you can't even get the mouth to move. Because watch that trailer. At the end, I'll give him this. the end of the season 12 trailer, when he's like, let's pour some out for those that didn't make it or whatever, his mouth moves okay. It's a lot better there. But in the beginning, when he's like 6 movies in a row, our brains are gonna melt or whatever, he goes like this. He's like, 5 movies in a row, our brains are gonna melt. Like, his mouth does not move. And like, again, if it was Tom's mouth, it's so tiny that it would be a little harder to notice. But Crow's is a freaking bowling pin. Like, and again, if you could make it move so well back in the 90s, why can't you make it move well now? It just, please fix this. And finally, character-wise, Jonah, it's like, you can't improve. I personally don't think you can improve on perfection, but, so if you just keep Jonah, like, the way he was absolutely perfect. There were just so many great things about him in that season. Between references he would make, just how he was as a person, being this very, very kind, selfless person. And you see that in the beginning of every single episode, every single opening with the theme song. You see that he was willing to risk his life for strangers and all these things. And it's so well done. And he's such a well-written, I just love seeing such a positive character that isn't just used as a joke. Yes, they make fun of him a lot and he gets like joked about, but it's like they don't make fun of him for being a good person. And I think there are a lot of shows that do that, or really put upon the nice characters and kind of like beat him up a little bit. And I'm glad they don't do that. I'm glad they just let him be a good person. I hope that all this his stuff just continues. Because if you couldn't tell by my season 11 reactions, I kind of took a shine to Jonah. I already like this guy. I really like Jonah a lot so far. Jonah in this episode was fantastic. Jonah is so earnest. Jonah's extremely likable. The best part was Jonah. I love how Jonah loves those practical effects. The sweetest, nicest person. Jonah I like from the start. I actually love Jonah. Since the first episode I've liked this guy. That guy seems nice and relatable. I really care about Jonah. Jonah was really great. He just seems like a really nice guy. So he's kind of like this cool dork, if you know what I mean. I can connect to that. I like Jonah too much to want, to let this happen. Very sincere. Jonah, I think, is a pretty well-developed character. He's just such an amiable fellow. I really, really just fell in love with this character. Jonah, who I love so much. Jonah Heston is the only fictional character I've probably ever encountered that I've just wanted to like pluck out of the TV and marry myself. So I will fully admit that. Because, back when I was doing those reviews, I'm like, I am totally not attracted to this not real person. That's ridiculous. But the more I watched it, I was like, shoot. Like, dang it. He was just written so well for me and for the things I liked and could talk about the things I liked with a passion and all this great stuff. And I hope he stays the same. And not just for my sake, but I do think that they clearly struck a chord with fans, because there was none of the Joel and Mike were better for the most part that I saw on the internet that I thought I would see. Thankfully, a lot of people were like, yeah, I really like Jonah. Not that he was their favorite like he is mine, but that they really enjoyed him as a character. So I hope that continues, that he keeps being written well. That's probably the thing I'm most concerned about. I'm like, I'm sure the riffing's fine, but is Jonah the same? So let's hope that that's the case. But everyone seemed to like him as the host, as a character. Everyone seemed to enjoy him, which is great, because I was worried whether I liked him. But this is before the season even started. I was like, I don't know if I'll like the new guy or not. But for his sake, I hope he's at least okay, and that no one is like a jerk about things. And no one was, so thank goodness. So that's about it. Let me just double check my... Excuse me, hiccups. Let me double check my little notes here. I forgot this about characters. I couldn't snap there either. Forgot about the other robots, Waverly and Growler. Based on a shot that is in the trailers and promotional stuff, they will be back. I am so happy Growler will be back, because Rolf the dog, again, Jonah is amazing, because he built a Rolf the dog as a robot, like, that's amazing. And I am so ready for him to be back. Waverly is the worst, though. Like, I don't understand why fans like him or took to him, and not to Growler. I've seen fan art of Waverly and, like, none of Growler. I'm like, how dare you? Because again, Growler, Rolf the dog. Waverly is just a dumb voiced guy who like talks like this and hits on all the bots when they're dressed like women. It's really weird. He just comes in the Hercules one and like awkwardly hits on everyone, and Jonah tries to convince us it's okay, it's not. and then he dies, and that's it. So I'm just like, great, keep him dead. Like, I don't like him. But I love Growler. I'm glad he'll be back. So we'll see. Hopefully, as long as Waverly's not annoying and doesn't get too much screen time, fine. But Growler can have all the screen time he wants. He was awesome. I don't want either of them to riff. Even Growler, it's like, just keep them out of the theater as like more like what Gypsy is. I think that's fine. But it's got to be Tom and Crow in there and just them. But yeah, so I wanted to mention that was what I was forgetting. And the other thing that makes Jonah awesome, but also makes the riffing awesome, please, more of the practical effects love. Because I was watching, like, Land That Time Forgot and the Hercules one, I believe, and Jonah's like, oh my gosh, they're throwing fire at these guys, you gotta appreciate that this is real fire, or like, those smoke effects would be CG now, isn't it cool that they were real? Like, more of the behind-the-scenes nerdery, please. All that kind of stuff. So that's pretty much it. There's a lot that need to be, I think, improved and tweaked a little bit, but a lot that I'm looking forward to seeing, again, hopefully done just as well or even better. So I hope that you guys like this, that you get to watch it, because it's now 11 o'clock recording this, and so we have less than 3 hours to go, guys. So I will get this up as soon as possible, hopefully within about 2 hours to go for you guys, if not less. So go forth. I hope you have a chance to watch this first. If you don't, whatever, but let me know your Season 12 predictions really fast before it starts, or even after it starts. And I will be watching the first episode tonight. I'll be watching the first episode with my reaction and stuff like last time, because I love doing that. It was so fun, and you guys seem to really enjoy it too, which is fantastic. And so I'll record that, and then I'll try to get it up immediately. But we'll see, because tomorrow is Thanksgiving, and so I will try to get like 2-3 hours sleep before the parade, so we'll see about that. So thank you all so much for watching. Happy Season 12 and happy Thanksgiving. I should have said that first, probably, but it's a fun weekend for all Misties out there. Have a good Misty/turkey filled holiday, and I will wish you that as well in a couple hours. So thanks again, and I'll see you guys later.